Welcome to our special coverage of the North Salman trial here on clickorlando.com. I'm Kirsten O'Connor. Today we are getting a look at what the Pulse nightclub gunman Omar Mateen searched for on his cell phone leading up to the attack. And so far, an FBI information technology specialist has taken the stand today. Let's bring in News 6's Nadine Yanis. She's been in the courtroom for this trial, and she joins us live now from the federal courthouse in Orlando. Nadine, what exactly did investigators find on Mateen's phone?
Well, Kirsten, this analyst said that he had 5,000 pages of internet activity from Omar Mateen's phone, but filtered that down to 76 pages that relate to the Pulse nightclub, testifying that almost daily Mateen was searching ISIS and ISIS videos, and that even in the middle of the standoff, he Google searched how to get his gun unjammed. Also on Mateen's cell phone today are text messages between Salman and Mateen, including that one text the government says is Salman's cover story for her husband's attack. This morning, the FBI information technology expert who analyzed Mateen's cell phone is on the stand, where the government showed 76 pages worth of Google searches, which took us into the mind of the mass murderer. The government showing almost every day from the end of May until the day of the Pulse attack on June 11th, Mateen Google searched ISIS. Watching this video on May 22nd from an ISIS spokesperson calling on attacks on the U.S. during Ramadan. Mateen's Google searches on his phone also indicating he was panicked about being watched by the FBI. They also show Mateen in the days before the attack searched on several guns, including the .357 Magnum, the M16, the AR-15, and the 9mm handgun. But when analyzing his phones, the FBI expert said he found text messages between Omar and what was saved in his phone as Noor, my love. Getting to another key piece in the government's case, this text message sent from Salman to Mateen at 7:29 on the night of the Pulse attack, which read, quote, "If your mom calls, say Nemo invited you out and Noor wants to stay home," end quote. This, the prosecutors say, is Salman's cover story for her husband. But the defense interprets this text differently, arguing Salman truly believed Mateen was with Nemo and was being lied to herself. And so the defense on cross-examination pointed out something that may be crucial in their case. They asked the FBI analyst if he looked at other sites that Mateen was visiting. The FBI analyst said no, that he only looked for what the FBI asked for. And that's when the defense pulled up websites that Mateen visited that they allege that he was having an affair on ArabLounge.com, for example. The defense saying this or alleging that maybe Mateen was being secretive to cheat on Salman with his phone, in turn maybe being secretive in his plans on the Pulse attack. Kirsten.
And Nadine, when we talk about those text messages, I know there's the single one that we have heard over and over again. It's obviously going to be hotly debated, but do any of the other text messages give us insight into the couple's relationship?
It's interesting, Kirsten. We are seeing a little bit of the couple's dynamics and how they interact back and forth, saying LOL. They sometimes end their text messages with love you, babe, and XOXO. Even on the day of the attack, we saw these kinds of text messages, a lighthearted, seemingly loving relationship through text on a very serious day. But maybe today, Mateen's mom and sister will be weighing in on their relationship because, Kirsten, they're on the witness list. So we may be hearing from Omar Mateen's mom and sister on the stand today.
That'll definitely provide more insight for us. Nadine Yanis reporting live from the federal courthouse in downtown Orlando. Thank you, Nadine. And joining us now live is News 6 legal analyst Rick Jansha. Rick, thank you again for being with us today.
Good afternoon.
And so we got some more insight here, some text messages, some more evidence that's been laid out as far as the searches. What do you think about all of that?
Well, it clearly shows that Omar Mateen was doing this in his mind on behalf of ISIS and had been planning this for at least a month. You know, the searches he did on firearms, he did a search on vehicles as to which vehicle had the most power, probably in advance of him deciding what type of vehicle to rent that evening. There's many searches. Orlando police, he looked for where there were webcams in Orlando.
It's also interesting, though, that the FBI specialist said he only looked at the searches that he was instructed to look for.
Yeah, and see that, and as I mentioned earlier, what the government has to be careful about is to present part of the case. I mean, their side of the events, because as we know from the defense filings, there are many things that he searched for or where his phone was hitting off on the cell sites that does not match up with the government's version of the events. So it almost makes it look like they're trying to hide the ball instead of listing all of the websites that he searched. That goes towards the defense argument that the government had a theory of the case from day one, and all they looked for was evidence in support of their theory of the case. They didn't look for evidence that could possibly help Nur Salman.
And we've heard before that their relationship between Mateen and Nur Salman may not have been virtuous. He may have had other people that he was seeing at the same time. And these text messages that the defense is pointing to are trying to prove that point further. Absolutely.
What they're trying to do is to counteract the text messages between Salman and Mateen that were very loving and seemed to be very affectionate, which in some ways I'm sure the government's going to argue that would not be the text message of an abused spouse. But to the contrary, what the defense is going to show is that Omar Mateen was extremely manipulative and playing his wife off as a fool.
And so we're going to hear today from Mateen's mother and his sister that we just heard from Nadine. What do you think we'll get in that testimony?
I think what they're going to try to show, the government's going to try to show, is that they did not see anything wrong in the relationship between Nur Salman and Omar Mateen. That, in their opinion, or based on their observations, they seem to be a normal, loving couple. Also, the important thing that they're going to bring out through Omar's mother is the fact that she must have had a conversation or text with Omar Mateen that night as he was preparing for the attack, because she actually approached Nemo's mother and said, "My son's with you." And why that's so important and why we keep seeing that text over and over and over again is because the government is saying that was her cover story, that she was aiding Omar Mateen in this attack by creating a cover story. And so that it's going to be very interesting what the mother says and the sister says, but I know the government, that's going to be their key point with the mother.
And when you talk about aiding, we talked about this earlier, that's really what they have to prove. Correct. In order to convict her.
Yes. It doesn't make any difference if she knew it was going to happen, as long as she didn't take an overt act or step in furtherance of it. And what the government's alleging, and I think the theory of the case is so far, is that that particular text right there shows that she created a cover story so that no one would be suspicious as to where Omar Mateen was on the night of the attack. And the cover story is even going to be given to his own mother.
And it'll be interesting to hear from her, because we have heard from Mateen's father after the attack. We at News 6 interviewed him several times, actually, and but we've never heard from any other member of his family. So to hear about him and about their relationship, we'll definitely be providing more insight. I also have to mention the thought that he was doing Google searches on how to stop the gun and how to get the gun working again. That's a new piece of evidence that is just hard to hear.
Crazy. I mean, it's in the middle of this attack, in the middle of this horrific event, he gets on the internet and tries to see, how can I unjam my gun so I can continue, the carnage that's going on.
And to think that if only we could stop the technology, we could have saved lives.
Technology is a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. It's very good, it helps, but at times, as you can see, it can be destructive.
Absolutely. All right, Rick Janshaw, our legal analyst, here with us on clickorlando.com. Thank you again for your insight. And because this is a federal trial, no cameras or recording devices are permitted inside the courtroom. So News 6 and clickorlando.com has reporters at the trial every day. We also have a special page detailing everything that happens on clickorlando.com. Just look for the Nur Salman tab. Join us tonight at 6:30 for another discussion with News 6 anchor Lisa Bell, investigator Mike DeForest, and legal analyst Whitney Bone. You can watch it live right here on clickorlando.com. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Kirsten O'Connor.